All right, we have another really fun partner here, just a huge partner of ours joining us on the virtual stage. Sadia, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, folks, for our final session, we have United Airlines here. Sadia is going to talk with us about a crawl, walk, run approach to personalization. There's a really cool story behind this. So, Sadia, can you tell us a little bit about your role at United?
Sure, yes. I oversee the digital marketing and demand generation at United. So that means is I oversee all the paid channels like search, social, and display, and every campaign that requires to take some sort of an action. So it's either to get customers to book a ticket, to get them to sign up for something, get them to download our app, for example. So all those campaigns are actually comes to my team, and any offers that you see, whether it's like $50 off for travel to Europe if you book on .com. Those are all generated from my team. So that's the scope of my
Fantastic.
work.
So you've been with United for quite some time. I would imagine you have some pretty good stories there. Tell us, what was the team like, and what was the team working on when you started, and kind of talk us through that timeline for where we are today.
Yeah, I've actually been there for almost 12 years. I actually did start from Continental Airlines. So I joined right before the merger, and then we merged with United. But I started in the email team. And it's funny that if I go back 12 years ago, like I would say in Continental days, like that was probably like we were new to the email space too. So it was like at that time where we were like trying to like automate our emails, make it more dynamic. But that was the main like marketing tool that we had. And then over the years, like digital started growing, and we started building out a digital team at United. And it's honestly not even a long time ago. We were like, I was a team of one doing all the digital buys at United. And now we've grown tremendously because the industry has grown and we have grown. And even when I look at like partners like Facebook, like I remember the very first campaign we launched, my only option was like a static image that I can put up there. And it was so simple and basic. And clearly that's not the case anymore. They got so many much more placement that we can buy. There's stories, there's carousel format. And that's just one partner, right? And then there's so many other partners are in the mix now. So digital has really, really grown over the years, and it's going to continue to grow.
And your team was the first airline to advertise with Facebook, correct?
We were the first one to do the remarketing, dynamic remarketing on Facebook. So basically, that means is like someone has done a search on our site, they abandoned the search and they come to Facebook, they would have dynamically seen that ad on their site. So we were the first airline to actually test that out when they first introduced it. Because like I said, like even Facebook over the years were changing and evolving and growing. And so anytime they had some like beta products, we'd always be interested in using it.
Absolutely. So speaking of growth, now correct me if I'm wrong on these numbers. I believe United has about 800 planes in the fleet and around 4,000 flights a day. Is that about right?
That is probably about right. Definitely not
Okay,
an area where I keep in touch with on a daily basis, but it sounds
for
about
sure.
right. Yeah.
So that's a lot of people going a lot of places.
Yep.
How important would you say personalizing experiences for all those people is at United?
I think in this now time and day, like personalization is key. Like people have so many options and choices, and the moment you start to actually personalize it, you are able to speak to them in a manner that they're not able to get the same type of like level at other places, which can give them the reason to choose you. So personalization, I mean, there's just so many choices now for them. So I myself, like I'm honestly a sucker for personalization items myself. So when I see someone like, send me something like, hey, Sadia, we missed you, come back. I immediately feel that, oh, they were thinking of me. Oh, they have amazing data. They targeted me. So I personally like it when people know, like, why they're sending me stuff, right? And so I think it's important for us to personalize content, creative messages, emails, whatever that is, right? To get the right person at the right time because it's more meaningful. Like if I'm in market for travel to Amman, Jordan, and United just started a flight to Amman, Jordan, like I am the right person to see the ad, right? Like, that's why personalization is really important because you wouldn't want to blast it out to everyone. And for you to stay efficient, the more personalized and the most, more targeted you are, is beneficial for both sides.
Absolutely. And as an airline, how important is real time when it comes to personalization?
Extremely important. I mean, it's like it's all. I mean, the best part about like digital is like right time, right place, right opportunity, right? So you want to be able to get to the customer, target them at the right time and right place. So the real time is you can't get more accurate than that. Like if you're at the airport, you see like see any type of content or message that resonates with you, like that's when you want to see it, right? You don't want to see it when you're home and it doesn't make sense. Like if you're headed to the airport and you see messages like, hey, you could check in on your app, that is when it's the most relevant versus like you're at a restaurant and you're seeing this messages, you're like, I'm not flying right now, why am I seeing this? So hitting them at the right time is key to all of this. To see the highest engagement, it has to be at the right time, real time environment.
For sure. And so there's right time in real time, and then to the right people, as you mentioned. Talk to us about some of those data points that you use to really know your customers and to get them in the right groups of people, to segment them appropriately, to message them appropriately. Do you have any interesting insights about your audience that you can share with us?
Yeah, I mean, our every company's first party data is the most valuable data, right? I mean, you have all the possible insights of your own customers, when they're traveling, who they're traveling with, how many people they're traveling with, where they're going. And that's how you can actually bucket them into different segments. Like you have a bucket of people that are always traveling with families. You have a bucket of people that are always, traveling to beaches. You have again a bucket of people who are always buying with you when there's sales. So you have different buckets of people, like what their behaviors are like, and you could use those segments. Like if I'm buying, if there's an Hawaii sale, I know this customer has gone to a lot of beaches, and like Hawaii is just as cheap as going to a Florida beach. This is the audience you want to go after. So that said, like there's people we know who fly foreign cabin all the time. If I'm doing a Polaris, sale, then they would be included into that audience segment. So I mean, we have a rich, obviously, data with like millions of people in there, so we can easily segment them out. And that's just US, and then it goes to international point of sales, like first party data. So, I mean, a lot of data. It's a good thing and also a curse, because there's just so much you can spend time just digging into that data and like finding out things.
Yeah, we talk a lot about it's truly the art of what's possible with all of this data at our fingertips, and just really needing to be creative to think of new ways to use it to our advantage and to know our customers better. We've talked a little bit about things that have evolved at United since your time there. And I know you and I discussed earlier in the week, United has really always been an early mover and has really sought to be innovative. Can you share some more examples of just United's approach to innovation and some successes you've had with doing that?
Yeah, I would say a lot of the innovation got unlocked during the pandemic. We saw a need that we wanted customers to feel safe and comfortable, and there was a lot of anxiety when it's obviously coming to travel. Not to just our customers, like even when I travel, that I have two like kids, it was like, can I take them, or what's that the restriction? What form do I need to fill? Is one form enough, or do all four of us have to fill out a form? Like so many questions. And that's where like our DT department, like digital technologies, I mean, they were amazing at this. As quickly they turn around the travel ready center. So basically, if you book a ticket, you have to log into Travel Ready, and then it actually tell you like what documents you need to fill, what are the requirements for you to go to that country, and then if you upload all your stuff, it'll tell you that you're actually like travel ready. It saved you the time at the airport, because I myself, like my own brother, like struggles through this. He went to the airport, was going through Frankfurt, and he had to fill out a form which he didn't know, and he had to do it at the gate. He was running late, and it's just that stress at that time. It's like, what form? You need your hotel information. You need, I mean, it's just so much you have to put when you're at the kiosks at the airport, right? So having that travel ready center that got implemented it was like a life saving thing. Honestly, it was extremely convenient. Along with that, I would say like contactless payments was something great that United worked on right during the whole pandemic. Just we wanted customers to be comfortable and just be able to still fly given all what was going on in the world. Um, and then I think one thing I also found really helpful was like our agent on demand. And it's funny because I like use all of these myself. So it's not just for the customers, but for employees too.
Sure.
But agent on demand was also one of the really cool innovative things that you at the airport, you could actually talk to a live agent through your app, right? So we've done a lot of cool innovations on our app, which is like, it's an award winning app for like a couple of years. And our team continuously used to, innovate it and keep on implementing cool, like, functionalities there. But that I think was pretty cool because at the airport, you could log onto your like mobile app and actually connect with the live agent who's at the airport and just talk to them like, hey, I need to change my flight. I need to do this. And that I think was one of the many cool things I think like the company and our department launched last year.
I've benefited from that agent on demand in the app before, and it saved me a ton of time. I was very confused about traveling with a COVID restriction in another country, and they were able to just help me in a matter of a few seconds. And it was like, oh, it was really nice to just have that quick access and not get queued in a really long line when you're in line to board a plane. So major props to the team on that. Let's talk more about your award-winning mobile app. United is so uniquely positioned in terms of, being here with us today in the travel and hospitality industry, but, United has the opportunity to engage with your audiences while they're in the air. Talk to us about some of the innovative ways you're doing that.
I would say a lot of cool things on the app. If you go every time, honestly, I log into it, there's something new. But you do need an app to watch in-flight entertainment. So that's one key thing that everyone likes to have their app before they fly. But I mean, there's so many new games there now. So if you haven't been there, you can check it out. And there's so many more games that, will be obviously added on. Our goal is there's so much that you could do in the app, which I don't think people realize it, right? Like, first of all, check-in is so easy. Just check in for your flight, but you can also pay for your bags there too. You can do so much day of travel to avoid like lines at the airport. And even like when there are like things happen at the airport, a flight that get canceled, like people don't have to call, they don't have to stand in line. They can literally go through the app and like change flight, next flight. And it's as simple as that. I would say a lot of the experience is just like the day of travel. Like you could have a seamless experience day of travel if you really have the app on you. Like it's something that I would really advise everyone. Like you're flying United, make sure you have the app because it streamlines everything for you.
I wondered if I was the only adult playing the games. I love the games. So I didn't know if I was alone in that. Do you have any unique insights about how folks interact with United.com when they're on Earth versus United in the app when they're in the air? I mean, what are some of those cool human behaviors that you have insight into that, so many of us don't necessarily get to see?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is on when they're traveling, it's more about information of the travels, right? Like one thing I think is beneficial, even to me, like a lot of people didn't know, like when they check in their bags, had they been loaded, had they been, what carousel will they find their bags? So I think those are the information a lot of people are actually like tracking, just for their own peace of mind. And I frankly do that too. It's like I had my bag actually loaded. I'm like, cool, it's on this plane, all good. And then when you land, like you don't have to worry about like going downstairs, looking at the screen, seeing where your bag would be is on your app. During the flight, it's all about in-flight entertainment, from what I know, right? Definitely, I don't keep track of this myself, but like what I see on the plane myself is like people obviously want to watch videos and, TV shows and whatnot. So they do use the in-flight entertainment for that.
Yeah, cool. So this session is called Crawl, Walk, Run, but you and I kind of joked that it doesn't really sound like there's been a whole lot of crawling. It's always kind of been more like run, run, run since you're during your 12-year tenure there. What are some of those major steps, kind of looking back at your tenure that the team has taken to really help position you all for success that you're enjoying today?
Yeah, I think like two things here, right? Like I would say airline industry changes so much with, with current state we're in with the environment, and there's just constant changes in the airline industry itself. But then digital marketing itself is continuously evolving in terms of technology, in terms of what is out there. Like it's interesting that like what the emails I get sometimes like from retailers now that they're selling data too. So like there's so many people selling data. Like it's just interesting that, your sellers services are actually selling data. There's clothing stores selling data. Like there's data that did not exist obviously years ago that we can actually tap into and use. So I would say there's a lot, and you have to stay up to speed. Otherwise you're going to be behind and you're not going to make the impact that you would be making unless you're continuously evolving with the technology that's evolving. So the biggest, I would say, challenge in this area is just staying up to speed of what's out there, because things changes so much and so fast that you have to be as quick to evolve. Otherwise you'll be left behind.
How have you taken taken a step back and looked at your team and getting the right people in the right places to take you forward on the path that you've mapped out for your team?
Yeah, it's always evolving too. I would say it's funny because like looking back, like when I was in college, there was no such thing as digital marketing. I think e-commerce was still pretty like, big. So I took some e-commerce classes, but I didn't really take any digital marketing courses. Like it did not exist. It existed a lot, like now there's so many courses and, certificate and whatnot and analytics behind it. My first team, I would say like I literally had probably one person that came from a digital agency. Everyone else, we trained them on the job. Like they literally was like, okay, this is what we need to do, because it didn't exist. That background did not exist. With a lot of turnover over the years I've had, I've actually built out a completely new team now. And it's interesting now that everyone has digital marketing experience. They all came from like either a digital marketing role, they came from a digital marketing agency, which is like brings a whole new perspective because they're like, oh, this is how you did DM there, or this is how you did stuff in, in that or in that, industry. So there it's kind of nice to see the perspective of how digital marketing has been done in other areas of the industry. Whereas I would say maybe 8 years ago, when I was actually building out a team, I was just choosing people that like marketing and be like, okay, you want to come and help me with this, and then this is what we have to do. So it has definitely changed over the years. There's a lot of talent out there now in this space that did not exist when I was first starting to build out the team.
Yeah. Okay, going back to my gaming on my last United flight, I also watched a video from your CEO, Scott Kirby, talking about United's commitment to offsetting the carbon footprint. I know sustainability practices are a really big deal in the industry right now. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think there's just been a lot of focus on it. It's definitely not part of my purview here, but it's stuff I hear about our team and Scott always talks about. It's a huge importance that he gives and have dedicated team actually working on it.
Yeah, and I know you said Scott also recently presented the United Next strategy. What's next? What is the team excited about? What are some of those innovative things that you're working on that you're really hopeful for? What's coming down the future?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot. From a United side, it's going to be a lot of exciting things. Obviously, as you probably heard about, with Scott mentioned that we're going to be having pretty cool. Our aircraft's going to be kind of renovated again, and there's going to be space for bags on our aircraft. So like each passenger can put their bags there. There'll be new like technology, like Bluetooth, technology on the flight. So there's going to be a lot of, again, more of the up to speed trend in our aircraft will be more updated and I would say upgraded to the new technology. From a DT side, I would say digital technology is that we're going to continuously innovate. And I would say the app is our main thing, like making it more, like functional for people, making it more useful, making it something that they find value throughout their journey, not just on the day of travel, right? Just so there'll be some cool things that are going to be implemented there. Obviously, I can't share right now, but there's a lot of work that's going on in that space. And anytime we find, we're very customer and employee focused. So anytime we find opportunities to implement anything that's going to help, our, customers and also our employees at the airport, right? Like whether it's like giving them tools, different tools that help them be more like, efficient at the job is something we will definitely take, our priority with.
Very cool. Very exciting. It's really cool to watch this industry just transform in front of our eyes as passengers. But it's cool to kind of hear what's coming from you. So thanks for sharing that with us. I am starting to get a handful of questions for you in the chat. So let's go over to a few of these. The first question is, which use case has been the most successful for United?
Which use case has been the most successful one? I would say for in the digital marketing space, anytime we've done any dynamic promotion. So what that means is like more on the real time and more on like different offers for different customers. That has been, and that's based on the data that we know. Just like how I talked about earlier, like, hey, if someone has been to beaches all the time, they should get a beach offer, right? If someone has always traveled like, Polaris, they should get something actually related to their offer. So I think more having offers in market that are, like I said, more like, personalized, and there's a reason why they're getting those offers. That's the use case we've seen the most success with.
Okay. And another question that came through is, through the lens of personalization, how is United approaching privacy consent management?
Yeah, so we are definitely in touch with legal and privacy concerns all the time, right? So we are not going to get to the level where we're like, hi, and their name on our creative. So it's not that. We try to do more on the email addresses, just because that's more reliable if that someone sees the email addresses. But yeah, we have to be compliant. So we're definitely in touch with our privacy and our legal team to make sure that anything we put in market is legally approved. And most of these customers have, or not all, have opted in to receive like marketing, communication. So we're covered there. Sure. But, our goal is not to leak out like offers to everyone. It's meant to be for that particular person.
Okay, perfect. Okay, another question for you. How is United preparing for third-party cookie loss?
We've been preparing. There's been a lot of different partners. Good thing that it has been always like moved over. So I think it's given a lot of vendors a lot of opportunity to actually, prepare. And so we've definitely partnered with some who's going to help us come that. I think initially when they announced it, it was a lot of concern because we didn't have enough time, or no one had enough time, and we don't know what step to take. But I think since it has been announced for quite some time, there's been a lot of partners out there that have come up with solutions of what we can do when we don't have cookies. So we definitely are like taking advantage of one of those solutions.
Okay, perfect. All right. What advice would you give to another travel and hospitality brand planning to implement a CDP?
I would say really get to understand your data. Your data is extremely valuable. Until you don't know what's in your data and what you want from it, it's hard to work with any CDP. I mean, your stuff the best, right? They're here to help you. And the more you know what your data is about, then you will be able to implement a pretty good strategy with your CDP partner.
Perfect. Okay. And then another related question to that is, what are some key crucial roles and players other brands will want to have on their team before implementing a CDP?
Again, it goes back to data analyzing, right? You need someone who can analyze your data, and that's really important. I have an entire team that just analyzed all of my marketing campaigns, and it's like you need to take a deeper dive into it, and it's not just the frontline metrics. I feel in the DM and personalization space, a lot of the metrics people are used to seeing is really the frontline ones, like, hey, what was the engagement? How many people saw this? But you kind of need to take a step back and really look at who are the people who are actually, buying this or taking this offer. So you need someone who has a curious mind, and it's hard to find those. That's not a question you ask in an interview, how, curious are you? But someone who's analytical, who likes to analyze data, is the right person. You need someone who's very good at project managing. That's important because this is a very project management tool. You also need someone who can actually articulate what is needed and can showcase your work. So there's a mixture of people you need to have on your team before you implement, any type of, and it goes for any type of tool, right? Not just CDP. You need all those people in your team.
Very insightful. That's great advice. Okay, another question says in all caps, I love United. What is one of your favorite experiences that you provide that other airlines should provide as well?
I don't know if you guys heard of it, but we have MilePlay on. My team actually works on that, but I love it. It's mobile app. You probably, if you have an app and you remember, you probably see some MilePlay offers. So basically it's gamification. So if you take one economy plus flight, or you're taking an international trip, you'll get X amount of more miles, which I think is fun. That's one of the cool launches that I'm really proud of the team has actually implemented. But just makes it fun. I like to have I myself like to be part of brands that engage with me. And I feel like MilePlay is one of those, games that actually engages with their customers.
Very fun. I love that. I love games too. So, okay. What are some of your favorite personalized experiences outside of airlines that have been memorable for you? So it sounds like you like to have those personalized experiences directed your way. It's probably hard to kind of call those up, but does one stick out in your mind?
I mean, I love shopping in general, so all of my things gonna be about retail. But like, there's always these like I would say Sephora has these great, shopping weeks where you get like, discounts. Macy just had this beauty like 15% off. So for me, it's all about like deals. So those are the things that I look for. And that's why I enjoy, even in my own role, my team launches like offers to customers, which is exciting because you can be like, hey, you can save $100 off to Europe. So for me, I'm a very economical shopper and I like to, find great deals. So any brand that let me do that, I enjoy that. But she's like, there's times where like, hey, if you buy 10 coffee or whatnot, you get one free. I like to keep track of that.
Yeah, that's fun. You're a good loyalty member. Okay, what is the longest flight you've ever taken and how was your experience?
I think longest is to Japan. I was great. So I have no problem sleeping on planes. And so it was funny because I went on a work trip and we were going to Japan and we had to, because we had a team in Japan, we had to actually present. So I did my deck and my coworkers traveling with me too. I sent them my deck and then I had dinner, brushed my teeth, and I slept. And it was literally 14 hours flight. And then he apparently came, according to him, like 3 times. He's like, you slept through the whole flight. I'm like, yeah, what did you need from me? I gave you my deck. So I literally slept through the whole flight because I can sleep. So it was a great experience. I don't mind long flights at all. In fact, I feel like it gives me more time to kind of de-stress because there's no like distraction whatsoever. So
yeah, very cool. I haven't taken a flight that long before. That's memorable for sure. Okay, so Sadia, let's close out with you've given us some great advice, but I think knowing that you've been in this role for so long, you have a really unique point of view. I think just kind of general advice to folks who, after with all that you've learned today and knowing where you're going, kind of in the future. For those who are on the call that have a CDP or who are looking to implement a CDP in travel and hospitality, what advice would you give to them just in terms of things to keep top of mind?
yeah, I would say any tool that you implement is gonna be outdated pretty soon. So you have to stay up to speed. Again, the whole digital environment is very fast moving and evolve very frequently, and things will get outdated really fast. So even the technology platforms are continuously evolving. So it can't be a role that you just launch and you just forget, and it can't be like you can't be on autopilot here. You have to continuously be on like I would advise like once a month, just like block your calendar and for a day and be like, okay, what's new out there? What is new in this digital space? Like, let me have like, like a media day with your agency if you have one, or just like have a month where you're like, I'm going to see what's out there, read some articles, what's new in this space. So you can like, if you can get to know about those tools and then see if it makes sense for you to implement them. Because we get so busy in our day-to-day work that you don't know what's out there unless someone tells you. And so you have someone giving you that information all the time, like, hey, there's this new tool, you could do all these cool things with it, or you take the initiative yourself and are, looking out within market and how it can actually benefit your brand.
That's great advice. Sadia, I've really enjoyed our conversation. It's been fun, insightful. You and your team have just done some absolutely amazing things at United. You're winning awards for it. So we just give you just a huge round of applause for joining us today, for sharing your time with us and for your partnership. So thanks again.